Gracie Allen died 60 years ago. Now the truth of her marriage comes out. Gracie Allen was born Grace Ethel Cecile Rosalie Allen on July 26, 1895, in San Francisco, California, was one of the most beloved and talented entertainers of the 20th century. She was a comedienne, actress, and vaudeville star who became widely known for her work alongside her husband, comedian George Burns. Together, they created one of the most successful comedy duos in entertainment history, charming audiences with their unique style of humor, impeccable timing, and undeniable chemistry. Gracie Allen's early life remains somewhat shrouded in mystery, as she was known for playfully giving out different years of birth and fabricating amusing stories about her upbringing. Despite this lightheartedness, it is known that she grew up in a family steeped in vaudeville tradition, which deeply influenced her career path. Her father, Edward Allen, was a song and dance man, and Gracie was exposed to show business from a young age. She began performing as a dancer in her teens, but it wasn't until she joined vaudeville that her talent for comedy truly emerged. In 1922, Gracie's life changed when she met George Burns, a fellow vaudeville performer, while working on the same circuit. Burns, who was struggling with his own act, saw in Gracie a natural comedic presence and convinced her to partner with him. Their first performance together marked the beginning of a legendary partnership, both on stage and off. Gracie's straight man role soon shifted as she began playing the comedic foil to George's more serious persona. Her quick wit, daffy delivery, and perfectly timed misunderstandings became the core of their act. The success of their vaudeville performances quickly led to opportunities in radio. In 1932, The Burns and Allen Show debuted on the airwaves, and it became a sensation. Gracie's character was a lovable, scatterbrained woman whose offbeat logic and nonsensical reasoning were always delivered with such sincerity that audiences couldn't help but laugh. Her famous catchphrase, "Say good night, Gracie," to which she would simply respond, "Good night," became iconic, showcasing her comedic brilliance in just 2 words. Gracie's unique comedic style relied on her ability to deliver absurd statements with complete seriousness, turning seemingly innocent remarks into comedic gold. For example, in one of her famous routines, she quipped, "The water was so clear I thought I was drowning," a classic example of her trademark wit. Her character's seemingly illogical thinking became one of the most famous comedic personas in radio history. Gracie's timing was flawless, and she had an unmatched ability to play off George Burns' more deadpan humor, creating a dynamic that endeared them to millions of listeners. The radio show ran for nearly 2 decades, from 1932 to 1950, becoming one of the longest-running and most popular programs of its time. During this period, Gracie also became a star of film, starring alongside George in movies like The Big Broadcast, 1932, A Damsel in Distress, 1937, and Honolulu, 1939. Their chemistry on screen was as captivating as it was on the airwaves, and Gracie continued to shine as the comedic heart of the duo. As the entertainment industry evolved, so did the Burns and Allen act. In 1950, Gracie and George transitioned to television, bringing the Burns and Allen Show to a whole new medium. Their sitcom became an instant success, drawing in audiences with the same charming dynamic that had made them famous on radio. Gracie's role on television remained largely the same. She played the dizzy, lovable housewife who was always full of witty remarks and misunderstandings, while George acted as the straight man, frequently breaking the fourth wall to address the audience directly. One of the most notable aspects of Gracie's television persona was how she managed to make her scatterbrained character both endearing and empowering. She often got the last laugh, turning the tables on George and other characters who underestimated her intelligence. Her comedic timing, facial expressions, and physical comedy translated effortlessly to television, and she quickly became one of TV's first major stars. The show ran for 8 successful seasons until Gracie decided to retire in 1958 due to health concerns. Gracie Allen, one of the most beloved comedic actresses of the early 20th century, passed away over 60 years ago, yet her legacy and the story of her remarkable marriage to George Burns continue to captivate audiences. Best known for her sharp wit, impeccable comedic timing, and the charmingly ditzy persona she perfected on stage and screen, Gracie was half of the iconic duo Burns and Allen, who entertained millions through vaudeville, radio, television, and film. Her marriage to George Burns, however, was not just a professional partnership. It was a love story that defied the odds of Hollywood's notoriously fragile relationships. Now, decades after her death, more details about the depth of their bond and the strength of their marriage have come to light, offering a more intimate look at their lives together. Gracie Allen met George Burns in 1922, and the moment they crossed paths, their chemistry was undeniable. At first, they teamed up purely for professional reasons. Burns, who had struggled to find success as a comedian, saw potential in Gracie's natural talent. She had an effortless knack for delivering punchlines and connecting with audiences, often stealing the spotlight with her quirky and endearing humor. Originally, Burns was intended to be the comic, with Allen playing the straight woman in their act, but it quickly became clear that Gracie was the one audiences adored. Burns wisely shifted his role, allowing Gracie to take center stage as the comic genius, while he played the more subdued, supportive role. This dynamic not only shaped their professional career but also laid the foundation for their personal relationship. George admired Gracie's brilliance, and their mutual respect grew into a deep, lifelong love. In an industry known for its scandals and short-lived marriages, Gracie Allen and George Burns defied the odds. They were married in 1926, and unlike many Hollywood couples, they maintained a strong and stable relationship for over 4 decades. Behind the scenes, their marriage was built on a foundation of mutual respect, humor, and unwavering devotion. While Gracie played the scatterbrained housewife on screen, in real life, she was intelligent, savvy, and deeply insightful. Burns often credited her with being the brains behind their operation, managing both their personal lives and their professional careers with grace and wisdom. The truth behind their marriage reveals a deep, abiding partnership where each supported the other unconditionally. Despite the rigors of show business, George and Gracie maintained a harmonious balance between their work and home life. They were known to be each other's biggest cheerleaders, often spending their free time together rather than seeking the glamorous nightlife of Hollywood. Even as their fame grew, they prioritized their relationship and family above all else. While Gracie Allen projected a carefree, humorous persona to the world, her life was not without challenges. Behind the scenes, she faced a series of personal struggles, including bouts of ill health. In the 1950s, Gracie's heart condition began to worsen, forcing her to retire from show business in 1958, much to the dismay of her fans. Throughout this difficult period, George Burns remained steadfastly by her side, caring for her as her health declined. Their relationship, which had always been filled with laughter, now took on a new depth as George became Gracie's primary caregiver. His devotion to her in her final years was a testament to the profound love they shared. Burns would often speak about how much he missed hearing her voice and seeing her smile after she passed away, and even long after her death, he never remarried or sought another partner, claiming that no one could ever replace Gracie in his heart. Gracie Allen's retirement in 1958 marked the end of one of the most celebrated comedic acts in entertainment history. Although she stepped away from the spotlight, her influence continued to resonate with future generations of comedians. Her sharp comedic timing and the sweet, gentle humor she brought to every performance left a lasting impression on the entertainment industry. Gracie was a pioneer in the world of female comedians, paving the way for future stars with her unique blend of innocence and wit. Even in retirement, Gracie maintained a quiet but significant presence in George's life. Burns continued performing and acting, often reflecting on their years together in interviews and performances. In his solo career, George Burns would frequently recall anecdotes about Gracie, ensuring that her memory lived on both in his heart and in the hearts of their fans. When he won an Academy Award in 1975 at the age of 80 for his role in The Sunshine Boys, George dedicated the win to Gracie, emphasizing how much she had meant to him both professionally and personally. Gracie Allen passed away on August 27, 1964, at the age of 69, leaving George Burns devastated. Theirs was a love story unlike many in Hollywood, a true partnership that endured for 38 years. After her death, George often spoke of how deeply he missed her. He never stopped talking about her, often saying that she was the funniest, smartest person he had ever known. George Burns lived for another 32 years after Gracie's death, but he never got over losing her. Even at 100 years old, Burns could still be seen with a cigar in hand, telling stories about Gracie with a twinkle in his eye and a heart full of love for the woman he had lost. George and Gracie's story is one of love, laughter, and an unbreakable bond that transcended the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. In many ways, the truth of their marriage was far more profound than the humorous on-screen personas they portrayed. Their relationship was grounded in a deep mutual respect, admiration, and a shared understanding of the power of humor. Even now, more than 60 years after Gracie's passing, the story of their enduring love remains an inspiration to those who believe in the possibility of a lifelong partnership filled with laughter and devotion.